In a recent turn of events, Vergil Ortiz shockingly called out the winner of Errol Spence versus Fundora matchup. It seems as though all the talk about a Terence Crawford versus Ortiz matchup is breaking apart. Meanwhile, fans have been going wild over the controversial decision in Vergil Ortiz's recent bout with Serhiy Bohachuk. Vergil's trainer Robert Garcia told the audience that Vergil got hurt badly against Bohachuk, so Ortiz had to go to the hospital after the fight.
The Nevada Commission told us that it's best for him to go get checked in the hospital, so they took him right now. He walked to the ambulance and everything, but it was just a requirement that was brought up by the commission. Vergil was responding everything clearly and told them that he felt good, but they said we still want you to go because it's something that is required, because of the type of fight that he was involved in.
Robert Garcia was asked about his thoughts on the Ortiz versus Bohachuk fight, so he shockingly replied that they knew it was a really close fight because Serhiy came prepared to win. Robert said that Serhiy took many blows himself, and he deserves respect for giving the fans such a close competition. Garcia further elaborated his remarks on the fight by saying that the last 3 rounds meant all the world to Vergil because he had already been knocked down twice, which were counted in the score. Vergil had to really push himself in the last rounds to get a good win. Furthermore, Robert said that they were really surprised at the right-hand jab attack from Bohachuk, which tells how good he trained in his camp. Garcia further said that Serhiy might have been emotional after what happened at the weigh-ins with Ortiz, so he became a beast in the ring. Robert commented that this fight will really help Vergil for his future fights. Although Vergil could have done better against his opponent Bohachuk, Robert and his team are happy with his performance. Not every fight is going to be easy, especially title fights. Garcia had to push Vergil to win the last 3 rounds, otherwise it would have been game over for him. Moreover, Robert was asked to give his thoughts on Vergil's next fights. Garcia astoundingly responded, "In the next few months, I think he's going to have to rest and enjoy his family and go back home and take some time off because this was a brutal fight. But yeah, there's great plans, Robert further said that Golden Boy Promotions will pick out the biggest fights for Vergil. Later on, Robert alarmingly stated that all of Vergil's previous fights have been quite easy, mostly won by knockouts, but he needed this fight to learn a good lesson. It was a good learning experience for Vergil, his dad, and his whole team." Meanwhile, Garcia was asked about Turki Al-Sheikh's view on Vergil fighting Terence Crawford as his next opponent. Robert stunningly claimed that it would be something that they would have to talk about. He said that Ortiz would need some time off and rest before he fights any big matches. Robert further said that the fight with Terence Crawford is a huge possibility, but the circumstances will determine the final situation. Garcia had stern hope that Crawford would be interested in fighting Ortiz as his next opponent, but was skeptical at Vergil's mood. He also said that Crawford may get the Canelo fight, or maybe he may not go for it at all. Furthermore, Robert was asked that if they can't get Ortiz-Crawford fight, then would they be willing to have a rematch with Bohachuk? Garcia responded that they would definitely consider a rematch if the offer was right, and if the Crawford fight is not on the table. On the other hand, WBC super welterweight world title holder Sebastian Fundora and former unified 147-pound champ Errol Spence Jr. were linked for a fight with Vergil Ortiz. Though nothing has been officially announced, Ortiz has shown his stern interest in the winner of the Spence-Fundora matchup while calling them out in the ring. After defeating Bohachuk in a Fight of the Year candidate and sharing his interest in challenging Crawford, Ortiz also mentioned Fundora Spence. In an interview with DAZN, Ortiz was asked about his next plans, to which he responded, "Now we got to fight the winner of Fundora and Spence. That's what we're after right now. Facing that winner or simply Fundora, if his proposed Spence fight doesn't happen, is sensible of Ortiz considering he is the interim WBC title holder at 154 pounds. Meanwhile, Vergil Ortiz had been calling out Errol Spence Jr. since a very long time, which is evident from his press conference before his previous fight.
Pretty soon, couple more years, maybe 5 years, I'll take on Errol Spence too. And I don't mean that like, oh, I'm gonna go through everybody, I believe in my ability.
Okay.
On the other side, Errol Spence is preparing himself to fight Sebastian Fundora in November of this year. After Sebastian won against Tim Tszyu, pronounced as Zoo, in his previous fight, Errol Spence shockingly entered the ring and called him for a fight. Errol Spence saw Fundora for the first time after his bout with Tim, and he alarmingly said that Sebastian is really big, but I can break him down like I always do. Spence praised Fundora for using his height as an advantage against Tim. Furthermore, Fundora was asked about giving his thoughts on fighting Spence. Fundora stunningly responded that fighting Spence would do well for his history, since Errol is one of the greatest in boxing and this would be like a fight made in heaven. Apart from all the calling out that Spence and Ortiz are doing, Errol Spence had his eyes set on Terence Crawford for a rematch at 154 pounds. Spence and Crawford had a rematch clause set in place when they fought in 2023. After Errol's horrifying loss against Crawford, it seems as though he may need to sculpt himself in a new physique if he wishes to face Crawford. Since Crawford has moved up in weight in hopes of fighting the Mexican champion Canelo Alvarez, he may be willing to fight fight Errol Spence at 154 in a rematch. The rematch greatly depends on Errol's triumphant return if he beats Sebastian Fundora. Meanwhile, Turki Al-Sheikh seemed interested in making Vergil Ortiz fight Terence Crawford, which was evident from his interview during the Riyadh season. Jeff Mayweather, on the other hand, thinks that Vergil Ortiz didn't really win in the fight with Serhii Bohachuk.
Your first time getting an in-person look at Vergil Ortiz. God's had a lot of hype around him past few years. Thoughts?
Good fighter. Real good fighter, but I didn't think he really won tonight, though.
Yeah, it was a close fight. Were you surprised with 2 knockdowns? I mean, close fight, but you throw 2 knockdowns and you think it should have went Bohachuk's way.
2 knockdowns, you're already down 4 points. The other guy won more than 3 rounds.
Jeff said that going down twice in the ring means that Ortiz was already down by 4 points, and Bohachuk won more than 3 rounds. Mayweather was asked about how Vergil may face up against Terence Crawford, to which he terrifyingly stated that he is not ready for Crawford. Jeff painfully stated that Vergil had been doing knockouts against fighters that were not well known, but his fight with Bohachuk proved his lack of effort in boxing. Furthermore, Jeff said that Terence Crawford had moved up in weight and his performance against Israel Madrimov wasn't really shiny as well. Jeff said that he still thinks Crawford is a way better fighter than Ortiz given his style. Vergil Ortiz doesn't even come close to Terence's power and footwork. Jeff also commented that Crawford either didn't have the power to subdue Madrimov or he didn't fight like he used to. Going up in weight and facing opponents bigger than him was too much for his style. Jeff believes that Crawford is way better than Ortiz or Serhii. Jeff Mayweather had the opinion that Ortiz should fight Bohachuk in a rematch rather than looking to fight big names. Meanwhile, Tom Loeffler said that the fight with Serhii either should have been a win for Bohachuk or a draw.
Crazy. It's crazy. 2 knockdowns. You saw Vergil. I mean, all credit to Vergil. Can't take anything away from him. He's a warrior, but Serhii Bohachuk didn't lose that fight. He's a champion. He came in, he got 2 knockdowns. He had Vergil's face all busted up, and somehow he came out losing a fight. One judge had it a draw. I don't know what he had to do to win a round.
Tom was furious at the judges for marking the fight poorly. He said that it felt like we had a repetition of what happened with the Israel Madrimov and Terence Crawford fight. Loeffler further said that it felt like a robbery. Although he doesn't have any hard feelings for the judges, he astonishingly claimed that it was unfair for Bohachuk since he put in so much effort. Serhii got 2 knockdowns in the fight, and he still lost the title. Tom further elaborated on the insanity behind judging the fights when he said that they changed the scores in the first round to a knockdown. Tom further said that Turki Sheikh gets credit for putting on these amazing fights, and he will have big plans for both fighters in the future. Loeffler further commented that if anyone would look at Vergil's face, then they would know that Bohachuk was scoring more punches. On the other hand, Ortiz might have been landing harder punches, but Serhii gets credit for more shots to the face. Tom said that the rounds were really close, and his corner team even knew they were super close. But each close round can't be given to Ortiz, it is just unfair to the other fighter. Tom also stated that if you sum up the knockdowns and how close the fight was, it should have been at least a draw. Later on, Tom made a shocking revelation when he said that Serhii could fight a lot of the big names in boxing, including Errol Spence, Crawford, or even Tim Tszyu. On the other hand, Turki Al-Sheikh was asked about his views on the recent Bohachuk-Ortiz fight, to which he responded that it should have been a draw.
Great fight. Great fight. Did you have it as close as the cards, or did you feel Ortiz won or Bohachuk won? I think it's a draw. I thought it was draw? Yeah.
Turki further said that he wants Vergil Ortiz to fight Crawford as his next opponent, but in the future he will be looking to target a rematch between Ortiz and Serhii. Turki commented that he has big plans for both Ortiz and Crawford. Furthermore, Turki alarmingly stated that he doesn't want to work with Tim Tszyu because he doesn't understand anything. On the opposite end, former WBO junior middleweight champion Tim Tszyu was originally slated to face Ortiz, but he was forced to withdraw from the bout after a nasty cut to his scalp suffered in his loss to Sebastian Fundora in March had not healed sufficiently to allow him to spar. The 29-year-old Australian welcomed Ortiz to the 154-pound weight class. Tim commented on Ortiz's fight by saying, "I think 7-5 Ortiz, but with the 2 knockdowns it could be either even or Bohachuk in front. It's boxing. You never know. That was crowd-pleasing for sure. It was a cracking fight. These two are warriors. They put on a proper show. This was his first proper fight at 154. It's a different club at 154. Meanwhile, Vergil Ortiz's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, said that the bout was a literal war, and it's no wonder it was fight of the year, because Vergil won, even though the fight was close.
Oscar, can we get you real quick? What do you think overall of how Vergil fought and the scorecards?
Look, I said it was fight of the year, and it was fight of the year. I mean, come on, this was a war. It was a close fight. Vergil attacked the entire night.
Furthermore, Oscar said that Vergil put Bohachuk in pressure the entire fight, and there weren't 2 knockdowns, rather, there was only 1. De La Hoya also said, Vergil Ortiz pressed the whole night, fought the whole night against a tough Bohachuk, and I said it was going to be the best fight of the year, and it was fight of the year. In addition, Oscar was inquired about the Vergil Crawford matchup. He said that it's still in discussion with Turki Al-Sheikh, and if that is what Vergil wants, then they will make it happen. Later on, Oscar was asked about the potential Bohachuk-Vergil rematch, to which he responded that everything is still up in the air, and right now we should focus on the fact that both fighters are in the hospital, and they need to recover. De La Hoya also commented that Bohachuk was a huge surprise for him and he was a beast, which is why he loves these tough fights. Is Vergil Ortiz making the right move in challenging Errol Spence? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe for more content like this.